So we are holding the space where we recognize the suchness of this collective situation. And with that comes compassion, with all involved. All that are involved in this violent human drama, we could call it the earth drama. We are looking upon that situation with acceptance, and this means that is also compassion. At first there may be some sadness there, because the sadness is still there, because you see the forms that have already died in there. Then comes acceptance of the sadness, because that also is the suchness of this moment, that something in you feels sad about what happened. Yes. So you accept the suchness of that. Then you accept the suchness of that situation, the totality of it. And then the sadness becomes compassion. Now, compassion, at the core of compassion, that is not sadness. Compassion arises when you not even resist the sadness that you feel, or mourning about death, which is a form of pain, and that is not resisted either inside yourself. You cannot reach the state of compassion if you don't move through that, if you don't accept that which arises, which is sadness or pain about the situation. Yes. And so you go deeper by accepting that is what you feel. And that takes you to a deeper core. And that core that is the core of compassion, is a core of deep peace. And it's hard to talk about this, on the periphery of that deep peace there may be a lingering sadness. Yes. But deep down there's a peace and a serenity that many people have reported they found spontaneously when they were facing death. And many who actually died were never able to tell us that that's what they found. That serenity and that peace. And that, from there, all healing emanates. That has enormous transformative power to hold that state, to live in that state. It's enormous power. So that is, don't underestimate the effect on the collective consciousness a group such as this can have. And simply because collectively we enter that state and hold it, not with any effort, allow it to be. There's the situation, the earth drama, there's a sadness around it, some pain, and through allowing both the external and the internal. The external is the madness of the drama and the violence. The internal is to some extent, the reaction of the personal self to it. Yes, that's there too. And so it's allowed on both levels, the external and the internal. And only if you allow both levels to be, then that you go deeper to the core. And suddenly you reach through the surrender, you reach the serenity, the peace that is the essence of your being and of all beings, the one essence. And knowing that, in effect, in turn, has enormous effect on even on the world of form. It's only by knowing the formless that something that shines through you and then affects even the world of form. So this is perhaps no coincidence. There are no coincidences. Everything is connected to the totality. The fact that our gathering here this week is taking place at this particular time. And some of you perhaps even doubted before coming here whether you wanted to come here. You may have doubted whether even to look for peace, whether you even have a right in that situation to look for inner peace, to have the right to look for inner peace when so many people are suffering. Perhaps you ask yourselves a question like that. And of course, it's not a question of having a right. There is no other way for humanity to become transformed. And so it's not here, not just while we are sitting here as a group, it's also when you go away, you continue to go within and go past the two possible levels of resistance, which is resistance to what is externally and resistance to what is internally, which means you feel bad about feeling bad. You feel sad, and then that doesn't feel good, but you get stuck on that level of feeling sad, and you have stories in your head about it, and you never move beyond it because you feel sad, but you don't want to be sad. You shouldn't be feeling sad. It's acceptance. This is what I feel. That is. So as we are doing it here, you do it when you're alone, when you go away from here, wherever you go. Enter that state. Nothing can prevent you from finding that deep core of peace which transforms the world. Nothing can prevent you because there is nothing that you resist. If there's nothing that you resist, that means nothing can prevent you from finding it. And if your inner state is turbulent, you notice that your inner state is turbulent and say, there it is. My inner state is turbulent. There I feel the turbulence. That's how it is. There it is. It's there. It is amazing what happens when you don't resist. And so nothing can stop you from non-resistance. And or you might say you go and suddenly you wake up in the morning and remember all your problems and the dreadful problems of the world, and you feel very unhappy and say, this is reality, and that retreat, that wasn't reality. The television is telling you what reality is. And you get very sad. And after 2 hours of unhappiness, deep unhappiness, you feel your unhappiness. And then you remember your spiritual practice, and you say, well, I couldn't possibly find peace. Look how unhappy I am. There's no point in even trying to find peace in that unhappy state. I'm so unhappy. Okay. You're unhappy. That's what is. I'm unhappy at this moment. I'm so unhappy. That's how it is. Unhappy. So, let me be unhappy. It's okay to be unhappy. This sounds very weird, doesn't it? Because the very essence of unhappiness is that it's not okay. Something is not deeply not right. And if you then say a seemingly mad statement, I don't mind being unhappy, doesn't seem to make sense. But there's great power there, because it's the end of resistance. And the very cause of unhappiness was an enormous amount of resistance. Let me be unspiritual. It's the letting be. And there's something far greater depth than the little me that thinks of itself of this or that it even has the sadness. There's suddenly the depth is there. So this is so amazing that nothing can stop you. Any condition that is non-resisted will take you there. Anything that's not resisted takes you there. Any condition, any situation takes you to peace, takes you to that. You can find that out. I'm speaking about this now with reference to large-scale events. You can find it out on a small scale. You're sitting quietly in your room, enjoying the peace all around you, and suddenly some huge noise starts up outside. Maybe it's one of those, I don't know if they're called pneumatic drills here. In England they're called pneumatic drills, one of the worst noises there can be. How can I be peaceful here? I mean, this just doesn't work. And you can then try a little practice. You listen to that noise and see, there it is. You accept the isness of that noise. And the mind no longer labels it. When you accept the isness, it is, and you begin to listen to it. And there's no longer a me that contracts and says no to it. You begin to listen to it without a no. Complete non-resistance, and you'll be very surprised what you feel suddenly. And even the noise might be transformed, and the pneumatic drill might be saying, Om, Om. Now, whether you stay then in that room or not is a secondary matter. Maybe you move to another room where it's more quiet, or you may enjoy staying there and continue to listen to the Om. The action that then takes place is secondary. It will be right for that moment. Maybe you will remove yourself, or maybe the moment the drill becomes Om, maybe it stops. So in some cases, in little cases of acceptance, you may be surprised. Sometimes in major cases, it happens how quickly a situation changes once you've surrendered to it internally. How quickly it changes. And this is why some people say, when they notice that this happens, they say it almost looks as if life were giving a test whether you can surrender or not. This is how it sometimes looks. I don't necessarily want you to believe that. You don't need to believe anything. But it often looks as if life were giving you a challenge just to see if you can surrender. Especially you'll get it when you claim that now you have arrived. Occasionally people come to me, and I love it when they come, or they call and come and say, I am liberated now. I'm totally liberated. I know it. And it's wonderful. I love that. I don't say, oh, you're not right. They may well be right. But I often say, just wait. Let it... Give it a few months before you start writing a book about it.